Hello, hello, and welcome, welcome. We are so happy and grateful to be here with you today to call for a sacred vision this year, 2021, a vision for you, a vision for the world. And I just want to take a moment, a couple just very quick housekeeping things. We are going to be doing some vision work with you, so you can take notes. If you haven't printed the guide, don't worry about it. You can go back and do that later. Just grab a tablet or a journal or whatever you have handy. And as we get into kind of the part where we're working on creating a vision for your life this year, you'll have a way to take notes.
And don't worry about making mistakes or your penmanship. We're not going to be showing it on screen. Also, this is our gift. Every year we love bringing people together to give them some insight and a bit of outlines in which they can utilize to get clarity on what steps they should take in their lives next. So this is the one thing that we love doing, and so there will be no selling of things or anything like that here. That we are here in service to humanity, all of us, I'm sure, and we are here also to get you to realize the importance of and value of you following your purpose, following what you were born to do, what you were destined to do. And hopefully through the outlines and such which we will present, you're going to be able to take and discover some unique things, and maybe even some things that you need to kind of let go that has been hindering you to the supreme brilliance of being that you were born to be, and actually to acknowledge and to recognize that you are there and always have been. So, again, this is Chief Robert Taltree.
And I'm Terry Taltree. Welcome, welcome. As I mentioned, there is a free workbook and guide for you. If you haven't printed it up, don't worry about it. You can get it at any time. And it's just there for your use. We'll be going through everything or mostly everything that's in the guide for you during this session today.
And if you're also online and listening to us and watching the live chat, you'll see a bunch of my peeps, my tribe that has been created, has been with me for many, many years. They are awesome people. So if you're there, just say hi. And they are very, very, very positive-hearted individuals, I would say.
Right. Kindred spirits. We all are here in this circle today, or you wouldn't be here. So we want to just acknowledge you for taking the time and having the commitment to create a world that is, we like to say that life is sacred. You know, our elders always taught us that all life is sacred, and to have reverence for all life, and that we as co-creators of this life have a moral duty, a responsibility, and like a divine appointment, if you will, to be conscious and intentional about the way we are living our life, and that we can, through the power of all the gifts that we've been given, through mastering our mind and through harnessing the power of our emotions, honoring our body and awakening our spirit, that we can create a beautiful, peaceful world for all living beings. So if you're here today, I know that you must already be ready to call forth that vision in your life, and that you've been doing it in your own way. Here we are coming together in this sacred circle to do it together. You know, whenever two or more are gathered, we are strong. My uncle used to say, you know, if you get a stick and I ask you to break it, you can break it easily. But if we all get one stick and we bundle it together and we tie it together, not with sinew, not with string or rope, but we bind it with compassion, we bind it with love, we bind it with forgiveness, we bind it with wisdom, with courage, with honesty, with respect, with humility and truth, then it's unbreakable. Together we are strong, he said. So if you've been impacted like so many people in the world have been impacted in 2020 with not only how life has been really turned up on end through the COVID-19 coronavirus, through, you know, if it's affected your health, if it's affected your finances, if someone in your close circle or you have been impacted with your health, we're going to be praying about that today. If you've had, you know, like so many of us have been really deeply imprinted and wounded by the social inequity in the world, and wanting to stand for justice and equality for all beings, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, whatever, that all living beings be treated with respect and dignity and in an equal and just way. We're going to be praying about that today. If you've been concerned about the climate crisis, and who of us haven't been concerned about the growing needs on our sacred Earth Mother, we're going to be praying for that today as well.
Also, that picture in which is on the screen, that's Terry and I, and that is not life size. So bringing a little smile to your heart, and I can see it, to realize that part of the Native teachings is to take things lightly. Even when things do get tough, we always find a way to circumvent that moment and bring our hearts and our vibration up to a better place. And the Native elders that were Terry's teachers and my teachers, that's one of the things that they continually always integrated in every one of the teachings in which they, no matter where we were, they always had a tendency of being very, very artful in the aspects of creating a moment and bringing the lightness up. I also want to thank my wonderful wife and partner for the hours, I mean literally the hours and days in which she has taken and implemented all these particular things and got the technology all working and happy together so that was intended. So again, like I said, this is something that it seems like it's seamless. It's got a lot of working gears in the background that people don't see. But again, it's because of our dedication for change of not only for the community, but each and every one of you. When you shift and change, that actually starts to take and get others to be able to implement hope within their lives too, and possibly create new ways of taking it toward purpose.
One of the things that we do, that we practice in our own lives are these ancient teachings that were given to us by our Native elders. And the teachings of the medicine wheel are so powerful. They really help us to tune in and, have clarity. We are able to find peace and purpose in our lives by using these medicine wheel teachings. And so today, as the things that we're sharing, all credit goes to our elders, all credit. These are just things that have been lovingly and graciously passed on to us. So I want to just really acknowledge our elders for the time and care that they put into sharing these teachings and giving us permission to share them with you. One of the things that we do every day is we like to start the day by greeting the sunrise. And I know that most of us, no matter where we are in the world, the sun has already risen. But I'd really like to invite you to join in and sing with us. We're going to sing a church morning song to greet the day. And if you can face toward the east. Welcome toward our sacred direction. We offer our greetings.
in our travels, when we used to go on peace tours all over, teach at schools and universities and corporations, various artists, getting to the point where they weren't sure if this is the path they should follow. And in encouraging them, we often acquire something of art. That drum was acquired up in Canada. We don't always have a tendency of taking and utilizing volume was very low and broken up. Okay, we'll work. Don't scratch much to the cat here. Yeah. We'll work on that. Make some adjustments here. Turn that up a little bit.
Well, I think setting the phone microphone down farther away from us. Mm-hmm. We've had issues in the past where the sound overmodulates, so we probably overcompensated. Thanks for the feedback, so we can do better next time. Mm-hmm. Really appreciate it. With all things, we always begin acknowledging the four directions, and on the medicine wheel, you can see good. Thank you, Steve. We can see that there are four sacred directions, and they represent much more than just the four basic colors of humanity. They represent the four sacred directions. They represent the four seasons, the four hills or aspects of our life. And when we are able to tune into what is going on internally, what are we feeling, what is it that our spirit is calling for in terms of the experience in this life walk, this earth journey, we can be guided by these medicine wheel teachings to find more, a greater sense of purpose, more abundance in all ways. When we say abundance, we're talking about a feeling of well-being where there isn't that sense of clenching or tightness or anxiety, whether it's with our health or our finances or, feeling not enough time or not enough connection or love or purpose and meaning in our life. We can find all of those things through the ancient teachings of the medicine wheel. And so today, as we walk through the exercises to call in a sacred vision for your life, we'll be using those aspects of the wheel to help you really tune in and gain clarity.
And utilizing the medicine wheel for the mind, body, spirit, and emotions, the four ingredients that all beings utilize to create action, and which energetically creates the manifestation of things appearing before you. So these things are always integrated in our native teachings and are very universal to all tribes, whether it's Native American or Asian American or African American or whatever, European. These are all basic fundamentals that we can all apply. So you're going to be able to start thinking about these because they also, because they're integrated in the medicine wheel, they do influence each other. So with your mind has a tendency of always being stressed, it's going to eventually affect your body, your spirit, and your emotions, and also affect your choices in which you make within your life. So it's good to keep the mind, body, spirit, and check on them every once in a while. How is my mind? How is my body? How's my spirit? How are my emotions? And if one is out of kilter, remember, it will influence. So we are in the season of rest and renewal, and it looks like Biboon, but it's actually Biboon, which is actually the word we use for winter in Ojibwe Chippewa. And it's more like a picture. If you're like sitting there looking out from your lodge or your teepee, and you see the snows and such, and how it's falling and gracefully dancing in the air and the wind and such, and how beautiful that it causes itself to cover a blanket over everything, and then how a bit of light when it is hit by the sun causes it to sparkle. All these feelings, all these things in which you can see and visualize you're sitting there at a fire, keeping nice and warm, and the buffalo robes are all around us. So this is the feeling which is the translation of that word, because it's not just it's winter. No, it paints that picture within your heart, and then allows it to arise into your mind, in the screen of your mind. That's just, so when we bring in specific words, I like to try to get individuals to get in a bit of an idea that it's an emotional expression. It's a lie.
Right, it's a relationship that we have, and during this time, this winter season, the veil between the spirit world and the physical world is very thin, and we're able to receive guidance And this is why in nature during the winter season things rest and renew so that we can tune in and quiet our mind. You know, for so many people, quieting the mind is really a challenge. And Tall Tree always says the mind is a powerful servant, but a terrible master. So we are given great tools to work with when we take the time to do it. In our Indigenous teachings, before we begin anything, we always start with the big picture. We always acknowledge the four sacred directions before we start any kind of ceremony. Whenever we begin our day, we begin by greeting the day and acknowledging all living things. And so today, we promise that this would be not only just, a session for you to walk away with a plan for your life, but beginning, with the bigger picture of how it all fits together. And so from our perspective and our way of life, we always like to begin by acknowledging all living beings. And we do this generally in our own words, just speaking from our heart. We will acknowledge each of the living beings here on our sweet and sacred Earth Mother. But today, rather than doing it the way that we do in our own words, we're going to share with you a gift from a friend of ours, Chief Jake Swamp. And Jake, we had the great honor. We had the great honor to be on a world peace tour with Jake, and he's crossed over and gone back home now. But every morning while we were on this tour, he would lead the entire group in this offering of recognition. So you will see up on the screen in front of you the words, and you feel free to, in fact, we invite you to speak these out loud where you are. And this is the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address. As he said to us, the actual ceremony that they do takes 4 days, but this is reduced to about, I don't know, less than 15 minutes probably. So first of all, we begin with greetings to the natural.
And of course, normally he's had to do this because he's had to take and adapt the native teachings and ways into today's world, which ends up being kind of condensing things. But by all means, he has done his best in translating from his native language into the language of English, which is now becoming more of the dominant language of the world. And so when we speak of these things, think about, let them resonate, let them permeate into the very essence of you, and realize that these have been spoken for possibly thousands of years by the indigenous people of this land.
We begin with greetings to the natural world. Today we've gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We've been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one, as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people.
Now, our minds are.
The Earth Mother. We are all thankful to our Mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother, we send greetings and thanks.
Now our minds are one.
The waters. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms. waterfalls and rain, mists and stream, rivers and ocean. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water.
Now our minds are one.
The fish. We turn our minds to all the fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give them thought. We are grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send our greetings and thanks.
And now our minds are one.
The plant. Now we turn toward the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms with our minds gathered together. We give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come.
And now our minds are one.
The food plant. With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them. We gather all the plants together as one and send them a greeting of thanks.
Thanks. Now our minds are one.
The medicine herb. Now we turn to all the medicine herbs in the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal. We're happy there are still among us those special few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of the medicine.
With one mind, we send greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one.
The animals. We gather our greetings and thanks to all animals. They have many things to teach us. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so we may use their bodies food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forest. We are glad they are still here, and we hope that they will always be so.
Oh, Mano, let it be so. Now our minds are one.
The trees. We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees. Some provide shelter, others with beauty and other uses. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life.
Now our minds are
The birds. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks.
Now our minds are
the four winds. We are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds.
now our minds are one.
The thunderers. Now we turn to the west where our grandfathers, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water that renews life. We are thankful that they keep those evil things underground. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfathers, the thunderers.
Now our minds are one.
Jesus, the sun. We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun.
Now our minds are one.
Jesus, our grandmother moon. We put our minds together to give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon.
Greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon. Now our minds are one.
The stars. We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars.
Now our minds are one.
The Enlightened Teachers. We gather our minds to greet and thank the Enlightened Teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to these caring teachers.
Now our minds are one. Yeshima.
Kishimanitu, the Creator. Now we turn our thoughts to the Creator, or Great Spirit, and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on this Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator.
Now our minds are one.
And for our closing words, we've now arrived at the place where we end our words to our greetings to the natural world. Of all the things we've named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way.
Now our minds are one.
Before we move on to creating a vision, we'd just like to speak our prayer in our own language.
Ijimanadu, Chiwanimishin, Widu Kawishin, Chi Koi Kopin was King, Daga Amano, Ijimanadu, Kanosam Digantisnikas,
They told Indishnikas.
Chimiquach. Thank you.
So I know for some of you, like what you were seeing on your screen wasn't necessarily correlating with what we were reading, so it may not have been easy for you to, speak it out loud along with what you were seeing. But it'll be there, and we did include in its entirety this entire greeting to the natural world in the vision guide. So if you didn't get that before, don't worry about it. At the end of the session today, we'll have another opportunity for you to go grab it. It's not a problem. And you'll be able to catch some of those things. We will put a replay up of this for you, so you'll be able to go back and catch the slide. Yeah.
When somebody asked me many years ago, there was a national magazine that did an interview with me and asked me, what do you go by? I know that you're a former chief of a council. Are you chief? And I know you practice specific medicines and herbs and plants and have done a lot of counseling with people all over the world. And so are you a medicine man? And he said then, and he went on and on of all the particular things in which I've accomplished in my life. And I said, really, I hate to take and utilize something like in that manner because it kind of puts you in a box. And in a box, we don't have an opportunity to expand or breathe easily. And he says, I'll find out something, and I'll put it on the title in the magazine when it's published. And I said, well, I trust. After we spoke in a while, I realized that his heart was in the right place. And so he said, so when it finally came to publication, it said Tall Tree, Pathfinder Between Two Worlds. But to me, as I've took and let that resonate, I realized that that's what we all are. We are all pathfinders between two worlds because we are spiritual beings living in a physical world. So we are pathfinders trying to create the bridge between the two. But the native teachings often said it is possible. It is possible when you start to take and resonate and trust in the wisdom of your heart. So it is possible for you to be a pathfinder between two worlds and to live the life that you were destined to embrace, the one that was written before you were even given your first breath by Nodin the wind. We believe in these things, and we've taken and continue to teach these things from the little ones all the way up to the elders, to take and give them the tools and the opportunities to get into deep contemplation of making choices that will benefit themselves and others, because the world becomes a better place when you do serve your purpose, and your purpose is definitely connected to your joy.
So now that we have really made that connection, and it's really important when you start doing vision work, it's really important that you come from the place of, with vision, we're talking about spirit, right? We are talking about connecting and feeling that relationship with all that is. And we always say this, Gachinawiya, we are all related. My uncle used to say, if you cut your hand and I cut my hand, you see, we all bleed the same color. We're truly related. There's one race, the human race, and everything else in creation is our relative, and we're here to help one another and to take care of the earth. So when we start with that connection, then we can go on to call forth a vision for our own personal part in that vision. So what we're going to begin with today is we're going to start with creating a life vision, and we're going to start with when we're talking about vision, what we're actually saying is that you have an opportunity to tune in to the way you would really love your life to be. right? It's what would you really love your life to be? And when we are really connected from the heart, we're guided by a very high place, right? We're not all up in our heads thinking about what we think we should do or what we could do or how to just improve a little bit over what we have, but we're actually really going deep inside and going, what is it that our spirit or soul is longing to experience? So we're going to give you a few moments to take some notes. Robert is going to be so gracious to play the flute for you while we do this vision work. So right now, just if you can uncross your arms and legs and just close your eyes. We'll give you a moment to write it down afterwards, but just close your eyes and relax. And just ask yourself, how would I love my life to be? If you had all the time and money you could ever want or need, what would you do with it? If it were impossible to fail, what would you want to do? What would you want to be? What would you want to have? Just in this upcoming year, not forever and ever, just this upcoming year. I want you to envision what an ideal day would look like for you. Great. Now, open your eyes, get out your guide or your notebook or your journal, and write down what you saw. Great. Now, we talked about the difference between a life vision and a mission statement. And with a life vision, you're really tuning in to how you would love your life to be. When you have a vision for the world, you're tuning in to how you would love the world to be, the world that we live in, the world that children are growing up in, the health and well-being of the water and the trees and the animals. That's part of what we hold space for as human beings. We are creating this vision in all of the things that we think, say, and do every single day. So I want you to, once again, close your eyes and just envision what kind of world you'd love to live in. If you could imagine anything in the world, an ideal world, what would that mean to you? What kinds of things would you be watching on the news? What kinds of stories would they be sharing? Can you imagine what it would be like if every living being was safe from harm, was free of suffering? Imagine if every child grew up in a safe and abundant world. Imagine what it would be like if everyone and everything was healed and healthy and whole. See that vision. What does it look like for you? Now open your eyes and write down your vision, your world vision. Great. So you got a picture, a glimpse of what that would look like. And one of the ways that we create is through taking action. It's important to have the vision. It's important to have intention, and we talk about that all the time. But just having vision and just having intention without follow through, without taking action, it just becomes just a wish and a hope and a dream. But when we put our vision into action in the world, miracles happen. So now I want you to think about something that has to do with like creating your own personal mission statement. Like, who are you? Why are you here? What are you going to contribute? So close your eyes. And I want you to just think about how you would like to make your contribution. What calls to your heart? What kinds of projects or service can you provide, being yourself, totally aligned with being who you are naturally and instinctively? What causes or things really move you? Maybe you have a passion for helping to protect a certain species of animals, elephants or manatees or clear water, or a sustainable garden in your own backyard. Maybe growing food and taking some of it to a local hospice or food pantry. Maybe helping to be a voice for children that are in difficult situations. What is it for you that really moves your heart and your being? What do you want to contribute to the world? Now open your eyes and write it down. Write down what you want to contribute to the world, what moves your heart and spirit. And why do you want to do that? Excellent. We were speaking last night in our mastery group, and one of our mastery members had the courage to say, when I sit down to do goal setting at the beginning of the year, it gets so heavy. Like, I'm so worried about getting all the details right, and if I don't get it all right, if I don't get specific enough, that it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to realize that, I'm not going to achieve or accomplish my goals. And I thought, what a beautiful thing to name as a fear, right? Because when we are looking at goal setting strictly from our intellect, only using the mind and sort of abandoning or stepping aside from the heart, what happens is we just end up so mired in the detail, and we've lost the passion. And that's why starting with a vision is important, because the vision is what brings us into a sense of purpose.
And when we ask you to take these few minutes to jot things down, don't worry, like I said earlier, about penmanship or getting it right. The whole idea is to set the seed. When the question is posed, take the pen that hand and write, set the seed. And why we do it in such little bursts like this is because it allows the mind not to make it too complicated and to put all the details. Those always can come later. Every plant doesn't worry about having how many branches or leaves it has. It just knows that first it has to break through the soil to be able to reach toward the warmth of the sun and the light. And that's what happens when you genuinely start to take in place yourself in that moment, is you're able to take and express that. And it may come out surprisingly to you, something that you had not thought of for many, many years, or something that you really loved and was passionate about in the past. It may end up being something that you need to take and re-examine. The Maker continues to give us all kinds of signals all through life. And we do kind of dabble our feet into the waters. But what we want you to really consider is just really, not just dabble your feet in, but step into the waters of life to really realize that's what you were born to do, is to be immersed in life, because water is life. And when you do that, it gives you an opportunity to realize that there's others also that are doing the same. You're not alone in this journey. There's many that are doing the same. And when you start seeing that they've been able to attain specific goals and things that really have brightened their love for life and their expression of life, you realize that the more that you're able to fill yourself with those particular experiences and those particular moments of joy, the more that others start to see that it is possible for them too. You see, it's not anything about right, wrong, or good or bad. Don't allow any of that to be part of the baggage. Realize that you were born to embrace an experiential life, one that is just vibrant with miraculous things continuously happening. And when we start training our mind and to be able to take and search out for those things, is when we start discovering they've always been available to us. It's just opening our hearts, which allows us to open our spirit, our souls, ourselves, our energies to receive them. If you have your arms closed across your body or across your chest all the time, you're not going to get a lot of light in there. But when you realize that all you have to do is just exemplify that by taking and opening your arms up, say, okay, Maker, Creator, God, I am open to all of your blessings. When you do that is when they start to actually happen. It's exciting when you start setting those particular regiments in mind and start utilizing those specific habits to create, to co-create a magnificent life. Now, many of you here know about my particular background. Of course, I do. I come from, my dad left when I was only 2 and don't have any idea of pictures or anything about him. My mother pretty well took it upon herself to raise me, my sister, my brother, and all the things in which she could have been stopped in her tracks by. My sister losing her vision, me having to go into the emergency for over a year with a concussion. Mind you, imagine with the technology of brain trauma. And the doctor's prognosis was that to put me in an institution because they really felt that I was not going to be nothing more than a plant, is what the doctor actually said to my mother. But my mother, with her courage and her conviction for life and realizing that we are all born for purpose, we're all born to be magnificent beings, continued to believe that there was a way. And, of course, it took numerous types of therapy and of individuals to help guide and teach. But eventually I healed. And when I healed, I came out strong. We all are here, and we all have burdens that we have carried, but we also take and realize that some of them are not ours. Set those things down and realize that is not mine. You know, you are bright, you are beautiful, you are brilliant, and you are here to make a mark in this world, to really take and shift things, to realize that you have the opportunity to manifest anything. I mean, anything your heart desires. Remember, I come from a family that we had a house, a single-room house with a dirt floor, a wood stove, coal stove. That's what we used for our hot water, to bathe with. That's what we used to heat to make our teas and coffees and cook upon, and even heat up the water to do our wash. I mean, that's my beginnings. And today I am living a beautiful life, because of not only the community in which has taken and come and crossed into my path, but also the people in which I choose to invite into my life. Because the people in which I choose to walk alongside, if they say they're going to do something, they do it. They have such a great spirit about them. And I believe that's within all beings, that capacity to be able to take and achieve great things. That's why we're here too.
I really am always humble, I have to say, when I am reminded, when Robert talks about coming from a place of poverty and the traumatic brain injury that he suffered and the long recovery time that it took. I'm also really humbled when I look back on my life and think about where I've come, and I really do believe in miracles because I am one. I have lived through many things that, but by many people's opinions, my life would look very different than it does now. And so today, as we look toward a vision for you and your life this coming year, I want you to know that when you have a vision, when you have the emotional energy attached to that vision, when you have something that really lights the fire of your spirit, ignites you with a passion that amazing things can happen. You don't need to know how. What you need to know is why. Why does it matter to you? And if it really matters and you allow yourself to stay connected and then every single day take a step in that direction, I promise you, I'm not kidding. I promise you that amazing things will happen. And so when we come up with a very detailed plan of how it's going to happen, it almost never happens that way anyway. So why make it so hard for ourselves, right? Let's come together and play. As Robert says, we've got a big sandbox here. Everyone's welcome. Come on in. We've got plenty of extra buckets and shovels, and let's create a beautiful life this year. So when we're just going to focus on this year. Sometimes we've gone out as many as 5 years or 10 years, but I want right now, this session today, I want you to just focus on this year, and we'll start with the end in mind and then work backwards, to what does that look like every quarter, every 3-month cycle, and every 1-month cycle. But we'll start with the big picture, and we're going to begin with mastering your mind. And when we're talking about the mind, those are things that people generally do goal setting around. Like, what's your interest in your freedom around time and money? What kind of career or business or work do you see yourself doing? What kinds of things are you really interested in, like expanding and learning in? So we're going to, I'm going to move to the next slide. If you're having issues with the slides, don't worry. This is all in your guide. If you don't have your guide, you'll be able to get it, after. If you have your guide, we're on page 9, and we're going to start with mastering your mind, time and money freedom, and business. And we're going to have Robert play the flute for a few moments so you can just close your eyes.
And you can see that there's just only 4 or 5 lines. If you say, "Oh, am I going to fit it all?" Again, we're just looking for the seeds right now.
Big picture. This is the way things look and feel. You can do one-word little jot downs. You can come back and expand on this later. Right now, we are creating a vision that ignites the flame of your spirit, that gives you the passion and a sense of purpose for moving in this direction this year. So close your eyes. Here we go. So closing your eyes. And what does it look like to you this year? What are your hopes and dreams this year around time and money freedom, around your work, whether it's, a job you're working at, a career, starting a business, or if you have a business, where would you like to see it grow this year? How many lives would you like to touch? If you have some debt, what would you like to see as your relationship with that this year? Would you like to start eliminating that debt? Like to see yourself in a financial position to move? What kinds of things are important to you this year? Excellent. Now open your eyes and write down some notes about what's important to you. What is the most important thing to you around time and money freedom and around work and career or business? Good. Now moving on, we're going to move on to honoring your body. When we honor our body, we know that our body is the vessel. It's the temple of our spirit. It is what we are able to use to move through this three-dimensional world that we're living in. And we are ultimately responsible for how we care for and love our body. So around creating health and wellness, fitness, and a loving self-image with our body, a gentle, non-judgmental body image. I want you to close your eyes and see what that looks like for you. Feel the way you want to feel this year. What kinds of things do you want to do to honor your body? How do you want to care for your health and wellness? Do you see yourself doing yoga, or do you see yourself walking or jumping rope or rebounding on a trampoline, a mini tramp? Or what do you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself healing? Do you see yourself being strong? And what about how you feed your body? What kinds of goals do you have? What kinds of desires do you have around how you care for your physical body with nutrition? Now open your eyes and write down what your most important things are. What are your hopes and dreams? What is your vision? What are you really, really sincere about in terms of taking care of honoring your body this year? Great. Fantastic. Now we're going to tune into awakening your spirit, and this has to do with your personal calling, your self-awareness, your sense of meaning in life. And so I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Close your eyes and tune into this year. What is important? Are there any spiritual practices that are important to you? Do you want to learn to meditate or be more dedicated in a meditation practice? Do you want to take time to greet the day, to start the day with awareness? What is it in terms of your personal and spiritual growth? A sense of meaning and purpose in your life this year that is most important to you. Now open your eyes and write down how you would like to awaken your spirit, how you would like to grow your spiritual awareness this year and your sense of personal meaning and purpose. Now finally we're going to harness the power of your emotions. And remember we said that when it comes to consciously creating and manifesting, that what we feel is kind of the rocket fuel for how things happen. So often when people are doing, conscious manifestation or goal setting of any sort, they forget to incorporate how they want to feel about it. I was watching a Netflix special with Shawn Mendes, and he said, I was able to write down, my goal of selling out all the seats at this in Toronto at the stadium, and I did, but I never wrote down how I wanted to feel about it. And he said, I've learned that how I feel about it, how I feel while I'm doing it, is just as important as the goal itself. Maybe even more so, because the reason we have those goals is underlying, we have a sense of a feeling that we want to have, an experience we want to have. So I want you to take a moment and close your eyes and envision how you would like your relationships to be, not only your intimate, personal relationships, but your relationships with friends and family, with your neighbors, with your community, with your people that you work with, your colleagues. What kind of play and recreation do you want to have this year? Do you want to travel? Do you want to have, what kind of fun do you want to have? How much time do you want to spend with your family? What does your ideal day and week look like in terms of the quality of your relationships? If there are relationships that have been strained, how would you like them to be this year? Now take a moment when you open your eyes to write down things that are important to you around relationships and fun, family time and play. Excellent. Excellent. And we were talking last night in Mastery about this process of tuning in, and I was saying that for me, one of the things that I've noticed is when I have a very clear, short, succinct, objective, intention, it's really easy for me to remember it and to stay dialed in, to stay focused on that as a target, right? And then I'm always able to, each and every day, move in baby steps in that direction. Take one small step at a time. And we talk about this course correction, that whether you're a captain of a ship or an airline pilot, that this course correction happens, that is, if we even change one degree, that we'll end up in a different destination. So we're constantly staying tuned in and course correcting. And one of the things that I find for people that set like a New Year's resolution or do their goal setting at the beginning of the year, and then they lose sight of it throughout the year, it's because they've either gotten too complicated in kind of what their target is, or they've kind of set it aside and don't continue to stay tuned. So when that's the case, it's not a surprise, right, that at the end of the year you've got this, the personal sense of failure and defeat because you've moved so far away from your original intention. So right now we're going to do something about that, and we're going to give you some really powerful, simple tools to help you stay on track. And the first thing is, as you were going through that process of creating a vision for what your ideal day, what your ideal world looks like, what your ideal life looks like, I want you to go over your notes. And we're just going to take about 1 minute for this. Just go over the little notes and the things and pick the 3 things that really, when you saw them, when you felt them, they were like, oh, that's so important. I remember for me, at one point in my life, it was like the dream of being able to swim with dolphins. That was like, oh my gosh, it was so, I couldn't, at the time that I thought that, I had heard it somewhere. I didn't even really know it was possible, but the idea of it was so moving to me. And it just really, my heart was like overflowing with joy at the mere concept that would be something I would be able to experience in my life. So go through your notes, pick out 3 of the most important things that you would like to experience this year, and then write them down.
And remember, there's only one thing that has a tendency of stopping anyone in their tracks, and it's your own mind. fear is usually one of the things. And we talked about this with my community, with my group that I do with masterminding with, that I imagine fear as something or someone, kind of the shape of a human being, walking along my side and always calling to me, telling me, oh, if you do this, this is going to happen, or what if you do that, that's going to happen. And I realized it gives me so much distraction trying to listen to that, trying to be respectful to fear, that I often fall in manholes and walk into trees. And I realized that I don't, the biggest problem I have is by listening to it and not really looking at my vision, not looking at forward to embracing the other things that can happen within my life. Sure, I have to take some specific things into consideration, but I also need to take and put more of an emphasis, more of a strength and a vision into the other possibilities. Remember, Terry came from being totally paralyzed, and that was a prognosis from the doctors that was there. And she was in her 20s, and she was able to take and call upon that spirit, that essence that we all have, that thing that really is connected to the Maker, the Creator, God, to be able to take and help her walk out of that hospital. And the only thing she said to them was that I ended up taking longer than I projected. I mean, they still were amazed. They had quite a few doctors. I mean, several, 8, 9, 10, 12 doctors that were just amazed because they couldn't figure out how she did it. And the reason was because she had faith, and she had that strength, and she had that conviction of knowing that this was not the end of her goal, that she was designed by the Maker to do something even greater. And those experiences do shine in all of our lives.
I think, too, it's really important when we're doing this part of it, we're not looking at the how. We're just looking at the what. So, for example, when I was paralyzed, my intention was I was going to be completely healed, and I was going to walk out of the hospital on my own 2 feet. I wasn't going to be in a wheelchair. I wasn't going to be using a walk, dependent on a walker. I was going to walk out on my own. My body was going to be, completely healed. And likewise, those of you that have done the Miracle Mind Shift know when we had the intention to get out of debt, the morning that Robert said that what he wanted for the year was to get completely debt-free, I remember my first thought was, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how we could do that. And because I was thinking of the how, but I connected with what he said about his heart's desire was to be debt-free, to be financially free, and not feel that overwhelming burden, that weight of feeling indebted. And so I set aside the I don't know how, and I just went into that was the target, to completely eliminate all of our debt that year. And when I did that, amazing things started to happen, and the how begins to present itself, but you first have to know what and why. So right now, when you're getting those top 3 things, what I want you to do, this is a big process. This next part that you'll see on the screen or in your guide, and if you're in your guide, it'd be on page 10, I believe. But we're just going to set milestones. And this is where people really fall off course, right, where they really lose their focus. We used to be on tour like about 240, 250 days a year. And one of the things that Taltra used to say to people that we were doing live presentations for was the only difference between you and me is that I've learned how to focus. That's it. It's not that I'm any smarter. It's not that I inherited a ton of money. I didn't grow into a family that had influence. I didn't come from I don't have some kind of special, secret. That the difference is that I learned how to focus. And one way that we focus is we begin in advance setting some parameters around things, and we celebrate along the way. So we're always tuned in, so we don't lose track of what our intention is. We don't lose track of our vision. We keep it in front of us at all times. And like Robert was saying, we can't, you're going to get distracted, but you have to have some way to bring yourself back to center. And that's how we use the medicine wheel. We're always bringing ourselves back into the center of the circle, into the center of that sacred hoop, and looking forward. We're facing forward. And so we set these interim check-in points, right? So have a reason to celebrate. Like when you achieve this, when you have this experience, whether it's, healing from something that's been really holding you back from feeling that pure sense of the life force moving through you, whether it's a physical healing, a financial healing, a relationship healing, having a sense of a greater sense of peace and feeling more relaxed in your life, getting off the treadmill of feeling overwhelmed, whatever it may be. When you achieve that, how are you going to reward yourself? How are you going to celebrate to acknowledge it? Write that down.
And remember, when you have a tendency of achieving these particular things, that was done because you have vision, because you've taken action. Again, that's just what we'll bring into and interweave in the conversation is that you need. It's great to have a mind. It's great to have a spirit. It's great to have the proper energetic fuel, which is emotion. But without action, it's just mere words, which will eventually fade in the moment. Taking and watching, and some people actually put Post-its up around on their mirror. Hello, beautiful. You are awesome. On the mirror, as they first get up in the morning to wash their face or brush their teeth, that's there. They utilize whatever's at hand to be able to take and shore themselves up so that they can drive that information deep from the consciousness into the subconscious, because that's where all the choices are actually made. And once we have a tendency of putting a ton, just filling the hopper up with positive vibes, positive words, positive thoughts, then that becomes the vibrancy, your strength, and your shield. Because there's individuals that really don't believe in you. Therefore, they'll utilize the terms and ways to be able to bring you down to a lower vibration and thought. And when somebody's was screaming or hollering me at the past, I would engage with them. I would just scream and holler back. But after a while, it never got anywhere. We just felt worse. Both people were worse for the moment after that battle. But when I started realizing I could stick and just look at them and see, God made a beautiful person right here. I know that they're a little off track and their energy and vibrations out there, but I'm just going to send them love. And I just watched them, and I didn't take and engage in that way. And you know what? All of a sudden they calmed down. It was miraculous. I go, wow, how come I haven't done this before? And now I do it a lot.
I see that Christina has written in that focus has been a challenge for her, and we're going to give you some tools on how to work with that, even if you have ADD, even if you have a habit of procrastination, even if you're easily distracted. We're going to give you some very tangible, very simple practices to help you with that. Right now, I would love for you to write into the chat, each of you, something of your what's important to you this year. What's one of your number 3 top intentions for this year in your life? What do you want to experience in your life? Write that into the chat now.
And of course, it could be anything.
Do you want to heal? Do you want to be debt-free? Do you want to increase your income? Do you want to, improve the intimacy in your relationship? Do you want to be in an intimate relationship? Do you want to learn a new language? Do you want to learn to play an instrument? Do you want to write a book? Whatever it is, write that into the chat now. And that's for doing that. Overcome your fears. That's awesome, Rick. And can you be a little more specific for yourself? Fear around what? Is there one thing in particular that you would know that you've made progress on that? When you
Wonderful.
Have a deep sense of self-love, peace, and balance. Exercise talents with the community for fun and profit.
There you go.
Love it. Our son radically improved his focus by getting away from food. Yes. Start shooting my documentary for helping animals. I love it.
Wow.
Now keep going. Keep writing it in.
And everything which is happening here, we've had these things happen within our community.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. I would say 99.9% of the people that we've been able to take and work with have had these miraculous things happen, and they're giddy. We have some individuals that are now at that particular place where they're giddy. I have one a very, very dear person that's in the community that every day she says, I can't believe I'm living the life of my dreams. And welcoming the sunlight and on the horizon. We have other individuals that have manifested land and a home. I mean, literally, people came out of the woodwork, recognized where their heart, their soul, their spirit was, and said, I am here. I know what kind of person you are. Let's do this, and literally have a phenomenal place that they live in.
Love it. We've got people growing food. We've got people helping other people heal. We've got
beekeepers.
People healing themselves.
No.
We've got people moving into their yurt on an acre of land. And wonderful. So great. I want to talk about how important it is to have accountability. When we keep our dream to ourselves, there's this is like a two-sided coin, if you will. On one hand, it's very important to protect the sanctity of your dream, because there will be naysayers in the world, right? There will be people who their only way of functioning in the world is to tear other things down, because they don't know how to create themselves. So they look for ways to criticize and diminish other people's dreams. So be careful with who and where you share that. On the flip side of that, having a safe place to speak it out loud is vitally important. And when you have an accountability partner or an accountability community, it gives you momentum. It actually helps you stay focused. And accountability done out of respect and honor and love is an incredibly powerful tool. So I always like to recommend to people to have a community where you can go and speak about it like you're doing here. We are so just moved by the things that you are sharing that you envision for your life this year, and we want to see you realize them. Right now you have a vision. We want you to realize them. How do you realize them? You need to stay in touch with them. The way that you can do that, one easy way, is to have an accountability and support system. So, because we always break promises to ourselves.
Nobody else knows.
Right? And it's the big secret we keep, and it's what keeps us feeling less than we really are, because we really are powerful, magnificent beings. Truly. We could light up an entire city with our own personal energy, just with our own energy. I mean, we are so powerful. And I learned this through healing the paralysis that I had. And I've learned it through many, many of the things that we share in some of the other programs that we have, where we actually share, like, what happened when we eliminated death? What happened when we healed from things that the doctor said, were likely impossible, and that kind of thing. We won't get into the depths of those, but I want you to know that part of what happens when we don't just keep it to ourselves and we actually speak it to someone else, that we've just outed ourselves, right? We can't pretend we didn't say it. And so when we have an accountability partner, we tune in with them on some regular frequency. Like in our mastery community, we're connecting every Tuesday evening. We're connecting, right? For some of you, you can have an accountability partner. It could be your partner. It can be your best friend. It can be someone in your family. It can be someone in this community. Whatever it is, I want you to find an accountability and support system.
And realize that the miracles that can happen. We have individuals that the doctor said that they would not be walking within a year because they had so much deterioration of bone and their ankle, and they got into really the exuberance of this energy of really believing in the possibilities, and they are still vibrant. They're still walking. The doctors don't have any idea why, because they say there's not enough structure to support it, and they're without pain. So why is that happening? It's because we have this ability to tap into a source, which we all know which is, to be able to embrace that source and live a good, pain-free life. It's all possible.
Right. So you've got in your guide, and you can see it on the screen if your screen is up, that there's a place for you to decide and make an agreement with some accountability support system and what frequency you're going to connect. So, for example, we'll connect every Tuesday at 7 p.m. or, every last Saturday of the month, or whatever the frequency is that's going to work for you. I really strongly recommend that you find an accountability system that supports you. Now, the other thing, we talk about setting intention and having a commitment. There's a really big difference in having a vision about something, having an intention about something, and being really committed to it. When I am committed to something, it means that there are no excuses. It's not something that's negotiable. I am committed. So I want you to think about the one big thing that you've been putting off. Maybe you think you're putting it off until you have more time. Or maybe you think you're putting it off until you have more money. Or maybe until, the stars align and you're supported and the circumstances are right.
Be so committed that they would want to commit you.
There is power in maniacal focus. And there is. Robert Jesus, he says, when you get committed to something, you're like a bulldog that doesn't let go. But he says it in such a loving way and with so much admiration, because when I commit to something, it means that my whole heart and soul is in it. And for you this year, I want you to write down the one big thing that you have been putting off. And I want you to just close your eyes for a moment and feel how you would feel if by this time next year you'd actually experienced it. Now write it down.
What was that?
That's exactly what we're doing next.
No, but I don't know how, but there was a...
Right? So this isn't about knowing how you're going to do it. This is about, first of all, making the commitment. When we make a commitment, providence sets in, and that is like divine forces, both seen and unseen, that align with that commitment. When we decide, it means to cut away from. A decision is a clear line in the sand saying, this is what it is, right? So you don't have to know how to make it happen. We have someone in our mastery group, Rhonda, who wrote this beautiful poem. What I seek is seeking me. I know not how it comes to be, but how is never up to me. As I will, so shall it be. So I want you to then, now that you've written down your one big thing, I want you to play with this idea. I don't know how. All I know is I am committed to. Write that down. Whatever you'd love to be, do, or have by the end of this year, 2021. You can have it sooner, too. You can write a sooner date.
Of course.
This is a play of consciousness. This game, we've been given the ability, the innate power, the divine power to create.
The thing is about this is what really excites me is the individuals that start to immerse themselves around other positive individuals. That really has the tendency of supporting your dreams, your visions, your goals. The individuals in this community, I could, oh my goodness, I could go on for a long period of time of how many successes they've achieved. And they took little baby steps, and some of them took a huge leap, but they still, even if they've fallen down, they stand back up and they brush themselves off and they're laughing or smiling and they continue to move forward. It's that positive energy, positive realization. And it's a self-realization of realizing that all the things that happen within our life really kind of fortified them, gave them the agility and the strength and the ability to be able to achieve and pass through these barriers or walls that many times were mentally created. Once you get past those particular things, once you start finding other individuals that also let you encourage, that have visions and know that they're here to make shifts and changes, to be around this type of positive thinkers, and to know them and to realize that if they can do it, I can do it too. I've shifted so many times in my life and my visions continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger each time. And I realize it takes just as much energy as it is for a small vision as it does for a big vision. Just the big visions sometimes take a little longer to be able to attain.
Sometimes not.
That's
sometimes
true.
Not. When we're talking about creating a vision, one of the things that we've done this year, we've been working with quite a few people in this community one-on-one, and we've encouraged them to pick a theme for the year, and everyone that we're working with has done that, and it's been truly remarkable and so beautiful to watch what happens when you pick a theme and then allow that to sort of be birthed through you so that you become that. For example, one of our people that we've been working with one-on-one chose the word beauty as the theme, to have the focus in 2020 and going into 2021 be beauty. And that has sort of transformed into flowing beauty, which is, and it's a verb, right? It's an action. And to, the expression, I am flowing beauty, which is both a noun and a verb, right? And so if you can do that, if you can pick a theme, it helps. It's kind of like your inner GPS, right? It brings you back to the center. And we talk about the medicine wheel and the hoop all the time. Choose something that brings you back to center so that when you're thrown off course, when somebody, squashes your baby chick, when someone rains on your parade and just, gives you discouragement, when, the news blows up, when you start hearing crazy stuff in the media, whatever it might be, when the furnace breaks down, whatever it might be that can kind of pull you off your center for a while, have something that can quickly bring you back to center. And I always like to encourage people to have something visual, because the soul really communicates in imagery. It doesn't generally, it does sometimes communicate in words, and know whatever your form of communication with your spirit is. I sometimes hear things. Frequently I hear things, but I also, when I have a visual of something, it's much easier for me to manifest it when I can envision it. So I encourage people to create a vision board or a dream board or a life map, whatever you want to call it. They're fun and easy to do. You can do them digitally, or you can do them with, beautiful images from magazines on a poster board, however you want to do it. I've had people say, well, I can't find images that exactly match what I'm looking for. And my response to that is, find an image that triggers the feeling that you're looking for. And when you look at it, you go, and that'll help. If you need help with that, we do have a program that helps. It's called Baba Madizwin, The Journey. And it helps you find yourself in the center of that sacred hoop in the medicine wheel, and teaches about the 7 grandfathers. But it also is a creative process to create a dream board. It's just an easy and fun way to tune into that. So if you're looking for more help, we certainly have that.
Again, like I said, when you have a tendency of taking and really capturing that vision and nurturing it, it really does have a tendency of giving you the first step, the first foothold toward your to manifesting those particular types of ways of life. I mean, moving from the shack into various mobile homes and living in car and all these with my mom, my brother, and my sister. My sister, she lost her vision at age 7. Now, and back then, you got to remember, this is the 1950s. 1950. Actually, she was born in 1948. My sister. So at that particular time, all they had for blind people, they didn't have them in mainstream at school. All they did, they put them in institutions, and they taught them how to cane chairs and make brooms. That's what they did for blind children. And my mother, here we are in the state of Michigan. My mother had a vision that she knew that this daughter of hers had so much more potential. And she realized, and in the midst of her prayers, in an old magazine, that's where my sister was going through like 30th operation to see if they could restore her vision. There was a thing that said in California they're going to take an experiment and mainstream blind children into the educational system. And here we are, Michigan, need to go to California. My mother has like a 3rd or 4th grade education back then. She's got a college education now, but stuck her babies in the car. I mean, we had some Loney skin tires on it. Started driving, and when she ran out of gas because she didn't have enough money to drive from Michigan to California, she would work with the migrant workers, which, by the way, was a benefit because she learned some phenomenal Spanish cooking. But the thing is that she had a goal, a vision, and she did whatever it took to be able to make that goal. And she achieved that goal. And my sister speaks 5 languages, has 2 teaching degrees, has made a difference for vision-impaired adults. My brother does all kinds of restoration of art for museums, and here I am speaking to you. This is what I am passionate about. I celebrate you. I celebrate each and every one of you. And when I see that smile, that twinkle in your eye, I celebrate that. That is one of the phenomenal gifts. It's like I got the right exact gift for you. Except you discovered it, and when you opened it up, being present, that was the present, you were able to discover that this is where you belong. And when I see that, the blast that you exude, I feel that. And I embrace it. I open my arms and I open my eyes and I say, yes. Yes. That's exactly, you are exactly where you're meant to be. This is what you were born to do. This is what you were born to exude yourself, to benefit. And when you do that, it's beneficial to others too. You can take and reach back and see somebody fallen as maybe you have fallen, and you hold your hand out and say, I'm going to help you stand up. I'm going to teach you to fish. I'm not going to give you the fish. I'm going to teach you to fish.
That's right. That's right. Because, when you have the experience yourself of having set an intention that comes from the depths of your spirit, and you have the courage to walk toward that each and every day, you are giving such an enormous gift back to the gift of this life that you have. You are acknowledging the presence of that spirit within you, and you're an inspiration to everyone you come in contact with. Your light radiates far beyond your physical presence, and it illuminates the world. And that's why we are here. That's why we're here today. That's why we are here in this life walk that we have. And it is what Robert just said, being present is the present. That is the present. Having that experience of being completely connected, feeling our kindred nature with all living beings here on the earth, with one another, and with our own self, the center of ourself. I want to give you a couple quick life hacks. They're efficiency hacks that we've learned that are very powerful. They're easy to do. They just take practice, just like anything else. When you start doing something, it's not a habit. And it's not a habit, by the way, in 28 days. I know a lot of people like to use that. It doesn't become automatic, which is what a habit is, where you're not having to think about it, like getting up and brushing your teeth in the morning. You don't have to think about it because you've done it so many times. It takes about 6 months before you get into a habit where a behavior becomes automatic. So these little things, if you can implement them on a regular basis, put them onto your planner, onto your calendar, onto your phone, your Google Calendar, whatever it is that you use, and make it a habit, you will find that what used to be hard is easy. And what used to be easy feels unnatural. As far as avoidance, procrastination, a feeling of failure, self-criticism and condemnation, a feeling of betraying yourself, all those things, those will seem very unnatural to you when you get in the habit of really living from a place of self-love. So first of all.
Yeah, first I want to say is that one thing in which I want you to take in consideration is that if things haven't really been working well in your life, you're following the wrong guide. That's basically what it is. The reason why I'm successful is because I didn't do it on my own. I had some master teachers in my life, and still do. And many of the people in my community also teach me a lot of things too. The thing is that that's what we feed off of is that heartfelt wisdom. That's one of the reasons. You don't go to somebody who's broken about how to balance your checkbook. You go to somebody, or you don't go to somebody who's really sick and ask about health. You go to somebody who's achieved health and say, how did you do it? And then utilize that as your guideline and stay very close to that guideline, because that's how I've achieved many of my successes. I worked with an individual when I went on tour, and he was already on tour, and he was really successful, and I utilized his guidelines, and I barely got off from how he did things, and I applied them, and he says, I'm just blown away. He says, you're already within less than 2 years are really successful traveling the world. It took me like 4 or 5 years to be able to achieve that. I said, we followed your guideline, your blueprint. And because we followed it and applied it and not allowed ourselves to say, well, I can do it better, or I think that the world would like this better, or I followed it and I really paid attention. And when I started taking and applying these specific principles and mindsets that were vibrationally from the heart, and then I took and expressed them vibrationally from the heart to all those in which I would take and teach and see, it started to take and make a difference. It started snowballing. It started expanding. I was always and have always been excited about my life and what new things that appear on the horizon too.
I love that. And Tom just wrote a reminder in, and I love this point. Changing and rewiring your brain can happen very, very quickly, and there's great scientific evidence on this. Locking it in as a habit takes repetition, so you want to develop habits that are easy to implement, that are simple, so that you set yourself up for ease and grace and success. So one is the power to review and focus, and we talked about what happens when we focus. So how do you review? You can do it daily, you can do it weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. We recommend all of the above. And what that might look like is, for example, the next thing, high performance habits. Start your day with intention. When you begin your day, set the intention for what it is that you want to focus on that day. Pick one thing, no, and never more than 3. I really recommend one thing. When you're done with it, you can always add another one, but pick that one thing so that you continue to experience success. When you do that, you get in the habit and you get like these endorphins, and you get a sense, you're rewiring the story of who you think you are.
Be the hero and the heroine. I mean, and if you're creating this movie, that's where you should be. And don't forget to place the cartoon in there. You got fun.
Have fun, right? And at the end of the day, do the review. Give yourself, acknowledge what your day has been for you and what you followed through on, and end your day in gratitude. That way you rest well, and when you wake up in the morning, you're fresh and you're invigorated. If you do that, if each day, if you plan your week out, and when I say plan, just have an overall objective of where you want to go with what your intention is. Like, we've got somebody who's wanting to start or expand an online business for helping people improve their health. Okay, so at the end of the week, what did you want to move forward on that week? And then break that down into smaller chunks for your daily things. If you didn't get it all done, transfer it to the next day. That way you don't lose focus.
And find individuals who have taken and achieved that particular goal. That many times you can actually, by talking to them, they're really quite great people, and they're also end up being mentors.
Shortcuts, yeah, you can find shortcuts, templates and things that help you get there faster. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Always do it your own authentic way.
Yes.
We're not saying to copy anyone, but you can use a model and then put your own personal gifts and talents and personality in it so that it's really yours. But just like a car, there's all different kinds of makes and models of cars, but they all have, most of them have 4 wheels. They have, so you can.
Except for the reservation.
Right. Also, so if you look at the daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly, annually, if you have an idea where you want to be by the end of the year, what would you want to have in place for each quarter? What would each quarter focus on? What would each month be? And then at the beginning of the month, plan out kind of your 4-week overview, and then daily, each little chunk.
Monitor. That's the thing. That's how you stay on course. That's where you create the discipline. We have calendars. We buy them every year, in which we actually set things ahead of ourselves, things that we know that we've made commitments to, and that are definitely pertinent to our way of life. I know that there's gains and places that are in there that allow us some breathing room, too, because you need to take and allow time to have fun.
I really like the idea of this sort of 90-day goal, the quarterly cycle. We do it by the season, but you can do it by the quarter, the calendar quarter. And what that does is it really allows you to kind of keep the bigger picture in mind and then break it down into actionable steps. So when we talk about the chasm of death, I think I'm not sure if it's in Miracle Mind Shift, where, if your goal is out there and you're looking at the end picture and you don't have a clear path. Last night on Mastery, we were talking about the AAA triptychs, where you can just turn the page and it's the next part of the journey, the next part of the journey. So you can easily see, how do I get there from here? If you don't have a way to monitor and sort of measure that so that you're celebrating along the way, it's easy to lose focus and lose sight. So.
And I see questions going on here on the live chat, talking to some of the community that have drawn. They're brilliant. Each and every one of them is brilliant. They do draw on the resources that are available. I mean, we are in the golden age of information. Discerning what information applies to you is really sometimes the most difficult thing, because it can be a lot of static. But once you resonate with it, really ask yourself, how do I feel when I read this or when I apply this? And that'll give you discernment, because discernment is really, it's important for you to start applying and setting specific building blocks that really are all the foundation of who you are and what you're about and what you wish to express.
We're seeing more and more scientific proof and evidence that the things that we've been taught by our Indigenous elders are now quantifiable scientifically. And people like Greg Braden and Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, there are a lot of people speaking to these things that our Indigenous elders have been practicing since the beginning of time. And it's about connecting with what you might call the matrix or universal consciousness or God or spirit or goddess, whatever, there are many, many terms for it. And all of them are saying that there is a unified field of consciousness that we are in constant connection and communication with. And when we become aware of that we can tap into that energy in a way that elevates not only us, but all of humanity, that heals the earth, that improves the quality of our experience as a human being, that transcends a lot of the suffering that we are experiencing. And as a species, right, and on the planet that is impacting many other species. So when we go back to these teachings, these medicine wheel teachings, that there is a gentle and clear path, and we don't have to have all of the scientific data to know it. It's in every cell of your body already. You already know it. You already feel it. And when we come back to that place, when we come back into the heart, when we come back into that connection and our relationship with all living beings everywhere, when we come back into the present moment, all of this distraction and noise starts to settle. And so it becomes easy. It becomes natural, because it is our nature, right? And we don't have to unpack all the other stuff. All we have to do is step into the present.
Cheryl mentioned that there's so much information coming in and she loves it, and she was wondering if there's a replay. And we are notoriously known for this. You can ask anybody in this community. We always give more than expected. We fill their cup up and then it starts spilling over. But we are so excited about life. We're so excited about your success and knowing your potential. That's where, again, I will always take and bring that up, that I celebrate when you achieve these steps. And even though I had somebody, and that was one of our calls, they said, well, I don't have much to say, but I have this. And I said, holy smokes, what do you see here that's not magnificent? And they said, well, I didn't think of it. I said, no, you need to really look at it from where I see it. I see that you just achieved a phenomenal new habit, or you've taken and manifested something that you never had before, and it's going to make a difference. So you're looking at it as, I only got these seeds. I said, yeah, once you plant them, though, once you see that life is for life, once you realize that by taking and nurturing a dream, by feeding a dream, by taking steps toward a dream, it does manifest. I know this because I live it. I mean, I will never be able to stop being so excited about your life, because I know that the doorway is open when you connect to your heart, when you connect to the resonance of expression, when you connect to those particular things, and then everything else starts to flow with it too. Your genuineness is really part of making the world a better place. Sometimes people don't realize. I think if they're in some, I was working with a woman who was living on an island, and she thought because she was on the island how she felt, what she said, and what she embraced was not important. I said that is just that's just an old story. Energy is energy. It consistently continues to expand. If you wish to take and feed it, if you wish to take and really take and embrace it, and realize that the more energy and more excited you get about something, that's your beacon. That's your navigational strait. That is how you achieve all the things that your heart desires, is to continue to take and follow that flow of what excites you. Because with that energy, nothing can stop you.
So just to kind of review and summarize everything that we experienced during this time together, always start with the big picture. Start with getting into and put yourself in a state where you feel really connected and in tune with the earth, with the sweet, nurturing spirit of our Earth Mother. She is here holding us up, providing, nurturing, nourishing us, and from the protection and guidance from all directions. Start with that, and then tune into your big picture of knowing what you want, why you want it, and if you can connect with how that meets the needs of the greater good, that's when you really feel a sense of purpose around it.
I know every morning, I know many of the people in the community do the same, but every morning as I watch the sun rise and see the beautiful colors, I thank the Maker for giving me another opportunity, give me another day, and I also ask the Maker to help me get out of my own way. I mean, it's just, it has to come into the conversation. And I had a very dear friend who was a medicine man that used to say, hello, Maker, it's me again. And he said, I don't bow my head because the Maker knows everything about me already, but I do sincerely from my heart, from my soul, and from my spirit express my appreciation for life that was given to me and the opportunity with each breath to make a difference, not only in my life, but as I do so, I know it will help others too.
And so once you've got that big picture in mind, then start to set some goals, determine some target dates that you will have it. The difference between being able to have what you want and not having what you want is, first of all, know what you want, and second of all, know that you will have it. So those are, and then set milestones, work it backwards, set milestones so that you celebrate along the way. Be intentional with how you design your day, both in the morning and evening routines that allow you to check in to those things that you are, your journey. Think of it like I was saying last night on Mastery, we're going to Disneyland, like that childlike feeling of wonder, of joy, of magic, right? And to have a plan for how you're going to get there. Like if that's where you want to go, if you want to go to a life of magic and wonder and joy and a sense of connection and beingness and purpose and being able to serve the greater good just by being who you are, because you're light and love in this world, then you also have to, pick up the phone and call the travel agent or get out a map and plan your trip, right? Make your hotel reservations along the way or your campgrounds or whatever. That's how that happens. It's the same thing with your life. Be intentional. Design your days so that it supports your vision, and then stay on course by committing to not only having a great year, make that commitment right now, but getting the support and checking in with your intention on a very regular basis.
And try to create your vision into like a simple sentence or a small paragraph where you can say it in the morning and say it right before as you close your eyes, because that also has a tendency of allowing your mind. This is where your mind's going to take in. The last thing in which it's going to hear is that vision, and you're going to be able to take and allow it to take and permeate into the depths of your being, your essence, your soul. And that also allows you, I've had some phenomenal epiphanies when I get up and I'm in the shower. I love it. I get in the water and I'm immersed in the shower, and all of a sudden these ideas start coming through. And sometimes I holler out of the shower to Terry so that she comes, and so she goes, that's definitely something that we need to take and implement. That's where they come from, is those particular moments of heartfelt freedom. That's, to me, that's the juice of life that you should be feeding yourself on.
I love that. It is the juice of life, and that sense of, peace and joy that we have when we connect. Every morning when I'm in the shower, I try to remember to sing for the water. And it's just such a beautiful way to start my day. So I want to thank you, Robert, and I both want to really say Chi-miigwech. Thank you for joining us today. Hope this has served you well. We hope you won't stop here. We know how powerful it is when you can clarify your vision and what's on your heart. We know that's why you're here on this earth. You were born for this. You've got this. We totally believe in you, and I say that with 100% conviction that you've got a good plan to start. Don't let it just sit here. Take it to the next step. If you didn't get your guide, right up at the top of the page that if you're on the web page now for this webinar, it says right up at the top that there is a Vision 2021 guide. You can click on that and get it. And it's got everything in here, including the opening prayer, the opening invocation to all the natural world, and every one of the things that we stepped through on the exercise. We will put the replay up. I'm not sure how long we'll have it up, but we will put it up so you can go back and listen to it. Please feel free to share it with people that you love and care about, because the more people that we can light up on this earth,
light them up.
We want to light them up.
They're on fire.
Right?
And, you can even share the replay of this with those people which you love. Absolutely. Allow them to be able to take and hear this. And we are creators of the spark, but it's your life breath that allows it to become a flame. That's what we're talking about. Somebody did that for us, for Terry, for me, and that's why there's so much brightness here. And the community that you're seeing around here, many of them I know them personally. I've shed tears with them. I've laughed with them. I've taken and traveled with them. I've sat and had long chats with them, and really they are such warm, powerful beings. Each and every one of them is lovely. I've got them hypnotized because I love them so much. I do honestly love them. They are beautiful. That's why I love this community. That's why I love doing these things, is because each time I hear they succeeded in their dreams, I celebrate. That to me, we may not be able to take the material things with us, but we can take those experiences and grandeur of other individuals having and achieving successes. And within those successes, I can see that they vibrate joy and happiness. And I think that's the ultimate goal of everyone in this community and those that are listening too. I believe in your dream. I believe in your vision. I believe in your love, your hope, your aspirations, your faith. I believe in it all. Find the path that resonates with you and embrace it, and start to take steps on a regular basis, even if it's a tiny step every day, even if it's just taking and saying what you've written about what your dreams and visions are in the morning, at night, and then finding individuals that have succeeded in those particular areas. Find out what you can do to be able to take it and assist them, possibly, maybe volunteer or maybe even work with them, and find out that this is how you find it. Those people that have succeeded, you take and utilize that as the blueprint for your success too. This is Chief Robert Terry and Terry Talltree.
Right, and if you haven't subscribed yet, if for some reason you're not on our email mailing list for howtoliveonpurpose.com, we really encourage you to do that, because we do send out, every week we send out kind of a motivational, inspirational message called Wisdom Wednesday. And then once a month we publish an absolutely stunning newsletter that we couldn't do it without our newsletter editor, Deborah Hood. But it is absolutely, we fill it.
We have also other individuals that are phenomenal, and I'm sorry, but I get so excited that have definitely taken and been a part of the community, that have taken and spread the word of love and care and understanding. And I think that's where everyone needs to begin. Love yourself brilliantly and lovingly.
And yes, the guide does have the Haudenosaunee prayer in it. It hasn't changed since before. If you downloaded it before, it's still in there. It doesn't have the beautiful slides, but it has all of the words. And, for those of you, if you really are feeling like you want some more support, like on a daily basis, we have programs for that. It's in the guide and it's up on the screen. And we invite you to just step into something deeper if you want, like a daily a daily touch for your goals, whether it's around financial freedom and money mindset, or if it's around health and healing or weight loss or body image, or even, like I said, the vision board. We have programs for that, and we'd certainly love for you to step into that. It's not necessary. You have the beginning of everything here.
That's right.
We're not here to sell you anything today. We're just here to celebrate you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Please keep us tuned in to how you're doing on your vision for this year and what kinds of things you're experiencing, because we want to continue celebrating you. And with that, Chi Miigwech, in our native language, the Ojibwe language, Miigwech means all that you've given, we hold in the highest regard. Thank you for being here, and thank you, most importantly, for being you.
And for being born in this time, in this moment. Gizaga Nipwa, we love you. We don't have a word for goodbye, so we'll just say, Gikawabaman Minawa. Until our paths cross again, Minogishikut, it will be a good day.